What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's my initial thoughts and reactions for Double Game Week 25, which was just announced today. And spoiler alert, I'm probably going to have to keep Mo Salah in my FPL squad. It's an absolute nightmare, but someone's got to do it. And in this video, we're going to go through which teams have a double, what the fixtures are in Game Week 25, and then also the surrounding game weeks as well. Some initial thoughts and then a quick look at my team. So if you enjoyed the video, you're happy with a double upload day, give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Quick reminder that although this is now Double Game Week 25, it's also a blank game week as well for Man United, Newcastle United, Brighton and Brentford as well. And then these four teams are going to double. So Liverpool's double is pretty good. Crystal Palace away and Wolves at home. Obviously Liverpool haven't been informed, but hopefully they can be by that point. Wolves have got Fulham away, Liverpool away, which is a bit tougher. Arsenal, really interesting. Another double game week, bearing in mind they've got one in game week 23 as well. So that's Leicester away and Everton at home. Something else to note, if you are someone that's still got your triple captainship, and there's quite a few of you out there, and you're not happy about using it this week on Haaland for Villa at home and Arsenal away, you could save it and use it on someone like Saka, Odegaard or Nketiah for game week 25. If you don't want to save it later, just in case you might want to use a different chip, this does give you another avenue to use the triple captain, which I think is an interesting discussion. I won't get into it too much in this video because I'll be doing the game week preview tomorrow and we can maybe run through it in a bit more detail. But right now it's just some initial thoughts that triple captain could be used then. And then Everton have got Aston Villa at home and Arsenal away. So let's look at their fixture run starting this week and then all the way to game week 28. So Liverpool, first of all, have got Everton at home, which, look, before Sean Dyche took over, I think we saw that as a pretty easy fixture. Maybe it's a bit more difficult now. Maybe a green is a little bit harsh on Everton, but I don't want to change my opinion too quick just after one good performance against Arsenal, because that can happen, right? Arsenal nick an early goal, maybe the floodgates open, and maybe we still think that Everton are going to be poor. I do think it's going to be harder, but it wouldn't be a fixture that would put me off having FPL players too much. Newcastle away, much tougher. Then they've got the double. Then it's Man United at home. And don't get me wrong, if Liverpool keep playing as they are now, and so do Man United could go and get a result. But ultimately, that is going to be a difficult game for Man United, and you would expect Liverpool more often than not to score in that fixture. And then they've got Bournemouth away, which is a very good fixture as well. So it looks pretty good overall now for Liverpool. I do think because Arsenal have got the double, there's going to be less need to kind of double or even triple up on Liverpool. I know most of you wouldn't want to do that anyway, but I'm telling you, the closer we get to the double, the more and more you'll want double game week players. It happens every single time. You can tell me right now that Liverpool are finished and all that stuff. You will want their players by the time we get to 25, but I'm not sure you're going to want to triple up, especially, you know, even for kind of captaincy. I think if it was just Liverpool and Wolves that were doubling, I'd be very heavy on captaining Salah, for example. But we really do have to take the likes of Saka into account now, because ultimately their double on paper probably looks a little bit easier. It's hard to say because Leicester have been conceding quite a few goals, and it's just what kind of form and stuff, and how will Sean Dyche still have Everton set up by the time we get there. So it's not something to decide now, but I do think it will play a part into how many Liverpool players we get. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. Just one note on that Fulham fixture in game week 28, that is reliant on the FA Cup. So Fulham and Sunderland play in the FA Cup 4th round replay on Wednesday evening. If Sunderland win that game, the Liverpool-Fulham game will be on in game week 28. So that's just an even bigger plus to maybe have one or two Liverpool players. If Fulham win that game against Sunderland, they then go through and play Leeds in the FA Cup 5th round, and the winner of that game will then blank. So if Fulham beat Sunderland and then Leeds, that game will be off. If they lose to Sunderland or Leeds, that game will be on. But we may not find that out this week. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If Sunderland beat Fulham this week, then we know that's definitely on. If not, we'll have to wait until after game week 25 and before game week 26 to know exactly which fixtures are going to be off in game week 28. Then you come on to Wolves. They got a little bit more interesting because of the double, because every team gets a bit more interesting when they have two games. But the problem is, you don't know for sure if that fixture in 28 is going to be on. And the double is quite difficult, Fulham away and Liverpool away. And then game week 26 and 27 are also quite difficult, Spurs at home and Newcastle away. So the good fixtures really are in 23 and 24. And then the fact they've got a double. But after that, I'm not too sure about them. So you could go for a defender who could maybe play once or twice between 23 and 25. But then you'd have to probably bench them and hope that game against Leeds is on in 28, but it's not guaranteed. The one thing to say is either Liverpool Fulham or Wolves versus Leeds will be on in game week 28. There is a possibility for both to be on, but that requires Sunderland to beat Fulham and then Leeds. So you could hedge your bets. If you've got, some players already from Liverpool Fulham, you could add a few more in from Wolves and Leeds. Not a huge amount, maybe one or two, and then you're going to have at least some players that play in 28. But I just don't really know who you go for from Wolves. Like Sarabia's there now, possibly. In defence, possibly Dawson, who I spoke about, but is he definitely nailed on with Kilman? Will Collins get a look? Semedo on the right, could Johnny play there at some point? People have got Bueno, but Ain't Nuri can definitely play there as he did in the last week. So it's difficult to know which Wolves players to go for. But I am going to keep an eye on Craig Dawson. With Arsenal, we've talked about them so much. I'm not going to go through it all again. But if you're not tripled up, just make sure you are. I also think this is going to push me into doing Martinelli to Odegaard, even possibly for a hit, because they've got 2 extra fixtures and I want to make sure I've got nailed on players. I'm not even sure about Ben White. There is a chance that I will switch him to Gabriel as well, but I think Martinelli to Odegaard is probably a bigger priority. But they now have a double this week, a double in 25, so when there's a blank, they've got 2 fixtures. Then they got Bournemouth at home, then Fulham away, and then they definitely play in game week 28 as well. If you are not tripled up, that is your absolute priority, even more so than getting a second or third Man City player in, I would say. And then Everton are interesting because, again, had Sean Dyche not come in, I don't think we'd be that interested, but they did perform well against Arsenal. They have got Tarkowski at 4.2 million, who's pretty cheap. Obviously, Liverpool away is going to be tough, but the fixtures after that, Leeds at home, not bad. Then a double, then Forest away, not bad. And they also play in 28 as well. Now, don't get me wrong, having a defender against Chelsea away is not necessarily ideal, but in that week, we could have a few fixtures off where you're going to have to play someone that's not quite as good, and everyone's going to be in the same boat anyway. So I don't mind that option, but I don't think that is a priority. Like, for example, if you wanted to sell Luke Shaw soon because he blanks in 25 and you need to fund a move for someone else, like bringing in Odegaard or Nketiah or Salah or Darwin, whoever it is, then maybe bringing in Tarkowski for 4.2 million could be a way to do that. But I'm certainly not planning right now to go out of my way to get Everton players, that's for sure. So just some initial thoughts. Do we need triple Man City? Now, if you're already on the triple up, then yeah, you should definitely keep them. You don't need to have triple Arsenal or triple Liverpool right now. But if you're not already on the triple up, there might be better ways to spend your transfers, especially if that means getting in a third Man City player you're not even sure is going to start. Like, I think Mahrez and De Bruyne, as I spoke about earlier, are perfectly good picks, but there's no guarantee they will play all of the next 4 to 5 fixtures that Man City have, because there's Champions League coming up and just generally they've got quite a few options to play there. So I think it's all going to be team dependent, but you could rethink that, right? If you've got, most of you haven't got Edison, I guess, but if you've got like Mahrez and Haaland or De Bruyne and Haaland, that might be enough, right? And you just use your transfers on Arsenal players or someone else instead, or saving those transfers for down the line to get other players in, because yes, obviously Liverpool aren't playing as well, but players like Salah, etc., they've got guaranteed minutes. It also means, and I'm kind of rambling on a bit, but it's initial thoughts and reactions, if you were thinking of getting De Bruyne in, so De Bruyne to Fernandes then back again, there's even more reason to keep that spot open, because De Bruyne to Salah is an easy move that you can make. So these are the kind of things to think about. Arsenal triple up, definitely non-negotiable. Hits are now more viable as well, absolutely. I mean, if I think about having to do 2 transfers, then I also need to do Odegaard in for Martinelli. I may well just take the -4 at this point because I think it will pay off over the long run. Because of the Arsenal double in 25, Liverpool players might not be as important. I don't think most people are going to go out of their way to have Trent, Darwin and Salah, but I still think a double up could be good. Lots of you have got Fernandes or De Bruyne. That is an easy enough move to Salah. And if you haven't got the money to also go for Harry Kane, then Darwin Núñez for less than 9 million could be an option. I know they're not keeping many clean sheets right now or scoring many goals, but I guess all I would say is don't write it off completely, because nobody wanted Fernandes until he did well in a double and then had another double. And all it is going to take is for Salah or Darwin to score a couple of goals before 25 and you'll want to get them in. And so that doesn't mean you have to get them in now, But I guess what I'm trying to say is leave a route open to possibly get them in later if you want them to. We won't find out if Wolves play in game week 28 until just after 25, so that's before game week 26. And like I said, we may know if Liverpool play this week. Everton double in 25 and definitely play in 28, so they've got some cheap options there as well. So just that's just to kind of summarise some of my thoughts. This is my team. Now, I'm already tripled up on Man City, and I need to have a think about this, but I'm not completely against getting rid of Ake this week, but I don't know if it massively helps me long term. I've just got a feeling he's going to miss Aston Villa, he's going to be benched for that game, and then he's going to concede against Arsenal, and I might have even been better off just playing Luke Shaw. So if I need to fund Martinelli to Odegaard, could Ake to Tarkowski be the move that I make? Possibly. I do think Martinelli to Odegaard now becomes even more of a priority for me. I was already thinking about it, and now they've got another game that I don't want him to potentially miss or get reduced minutes in. I do feel like I want to make that move. I think Fernandes, that money will go to either Trent or to Darwin. I will have a double up on Liverpool players. And to be honest with you, the way that everyone is talking about them right now, it just makes me want to do it even more because my rank's not great. And I always say, if you can get differentials that are kind of proven players, and whatever you think of Darwin, he has scored quite a few goals already this season for Liverpool in general. If I can get differentials in, then that's kind of what I want to do. And right now I'm looking at it and thinking I'm going to captain Salah because a lot of people are just going to go for Arsenal players. Of course, lots could change by 25, but this is why it's initial thoughts. I'd love to have Gabriel. I kind of want to make that switch, if I'm honest. I've even thought about doing Luke Shaw down to Tarkowski and doing Martinelli to Odegaard and Ben White to Gabriel, because Gabriel's absolutely nailed. And I think the Ben White situation is similar to Martinelli, that he does look nailed, and I don't expect him not to start. And the fact that he could come off early is even a benefit. If he comes off after 60 minutes, happy days. But I guess there is always a chance that he might not start one game, or even if he does start them all, that he might come off before the 60th minute. And so I'm a little bit worried about that. So I'm in a pretty good position where my biggest issue is just getting the right Arsenal players. And this is one of the reasons I kind of like the 5-man midfield, because I haven't had to get rid of Salah, which to be fair has not done me well whatsoever. But at least I guess I'm slightly ahead for the double, albeit Salah might blank the next 2 games and it might not matter anyway. But Fernandes was always a cash cow, and now he lets me get to Darwin Núñez or Trent quite nicely. So I think that would probably be my main moves, is just shifting this money. And I will either get Matoma, who blanks in 25, but he would play after that, and probably Brighton will probably double in 26 or 27. I don't know when we'll find that out. Or I can just go to someone like Leon Bailey for Villa, who's got a fixture in 25 and in 28, so he will cover me there. So there's lots to think about, but that is my initial thoughts. Let me know down below what you think of this double. How many Liverpool players are you going to get in? How many transfers are you going to use this week on Arsenal players? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll be back tomorrow for the game week preview where you can get your questions in then.